Back with the other top stories developing right now. First, the tiger that made national headlines after being spotted in a West Houston neighborhood is closer to being released into a larger habitat.
Officials at Cleveland Amory Black Beauty Ranch say this could happen in the coming weeks. They say India the tiger is eating well, napping in his hammock, enjoying attention from caregivers. The big cat was moved to the animal sanctuary in North Texas over the weekend after it was turned over to police with help from Linda McInvale. The alleged owner, Victor Cuevas, is still in jail after his bond was revoked last week on a 2017 murder charge.